In a small, sun-drenched village nestled among rolling hills, there lived a young boy named Ali. His village was a tapestry of vibrant colors and sounds. From the bustling marketplace to the serene fields of golden wheat that swayed in the gentle breeze. But Ali's world was not filled with color. It was a world of silence. He was born deaf, and the melodies of the birds, the laughter of other children, and the comforting words of his mother were all mysteries to him. Despite this, Ali had a spirit as bright as the midday sun. He communicated with his hands, his eyes, and a smile that could melt the sternest of hearts. His best friend was a little sparrow he had rescued after it fell from its nest. He named it Choti, meaning little one. Choti would perch on his shoulder, chirping songs that Ali couldn't hear but could feel as tiny vibrations against his skin. To him, these vibrations were Choti's voice, a secret language only they shared. One day, a traveling merchant came to the village. He wasn't just any merchant, he was a storyteller, a weaver of tales from faraway lands. The villagers would gather around him in the evenings, their faces illuminated by the flickering light of a single lantern, completely captivated by his words. Ali would sit at the edge of the crowd, watching the storyteller's animated face and the enraptured expressions of his audience. He couldn't hear the stories, but he longed to understand the magic that held everyone spellbound. He would watch the storyteller's lips move, his hands gesture dramatically, and his eyes widen with excitement or narrow with suspense. Ali tried to piece the narrative together from these visual clues, creating his own fantastical tales in his mind. In his versions, brave princes fought silent dragons, and wise queens ruled over kingdoms of light and shadow. One evening, after the storyteller had finished a particularly thrilling tale, Ali approached him timidly. The old man had a kind face, etched with the lines of 1,000 journeys and 1,000 smiles. He knelt down, his gaze warm and patient. He transformed into a roaring tiger, his hands forming claws and his face a mask of pretend ferocity. He then became a graceful peacock, fanning out an imaginary tail. Ali watched, his eyes wide with wonder and delight. For the first time, he wasn't on the outside looking in. The story was unfolding just for him, in a language he understood perfectly, the language of movement and expression. He laughed, a pure, silent laugh that shook his whole body. He clapped his hands, his heart soaring with a joy he had never known. From that day on, the storyteller and the boy became inseparable. Every afternoon, under the shade of the great banyan tree, they would have their private storytelling session. The old man would weave his tales through mime and gesture, and Ali would be his most enthusiastic audience. Soon, Ollie began to participate. He would act out his own stories, tales from his silent world, stories about his friend Choti the sparrow and their adventures in the fields. The storyteller was amazed by Ali's imagination and his natural gift for expression. He saw a fire in the boy's eyes, a passion to connect and share. He taught Ollie how to use his entire body to paint a picture, how to convey emotion with a simple tilt of his head or the clenching of a fist. He was no longer just Ollie, the deaf boy. He was Ollie, the storyteller. When it was time for the merchant to leave the village, a shadow of sadness fell over Ollie. The old man, his mentor and friend, was leaving. On his last evening, the storyteller gathered the entire village. But this time, he did not sit in the center. Instead, he gestured for Ollie to take his place by the lantern. Ollie felt a flutter of fear, but then he looked at the storyteller, who gave him an encouraging nod. He took a deep breath and began. He told the story of a small flightless bird who dreamt of touching the clouds. He used his hands to show the bird's yearning, its clumsy attempts to fly, and its frustration. He used his face to show its sadness and its unwavering hope. He then showed the bird meeting a friendly gust of wind, which lifted it gently, higher and higher, until it was soaring above the world. There were no words, but the story was as clear as a mountain stream. The villagers were mesmerized. They felt the bird's longing, its struggle, and its ultimate triumph. When Ollie finished, there was a moment of profound silence. And then the village erupted in applause. It wasn't just clapping, it was a storm of appreciation, of understanding, of connection. They weren't just clapping for the story, they were clapping for Ollie. That night, Ollie learned the most important lesson of all. A voice isn't just something you hear with your ears. A voice is the courage to share your world, the passion to connect with others, and the magic of a story told from the heart. Though he lived in a world of silence, Ollie had found his voice, and it was the most powerful and beautiful voice in the entire village. He continued to tell his stories, reminding everyone that communication is not limited by sound, but is boundless, like the imagination itself. And sometimes, the most profound stories are the ones told without a single word. Thank you so much for watching. If this story touched your heart, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel for more tales that inspire and uplift. We'll see you next time.